This is the Big Fish Cares Podcast. Big Fish Cares Podcast. And here's your host, Benny Fisher.
This is going to be a cool episode because I have another guy that owns a roofing company, another guy that has a podcast. We must be twins and we don't even know it yet. It's the first time I'm actually talking to him in person, but I've been following his content on social media a lot. I got my boy Chuck Allen from the Keepin It Rio podcast on here. Chuck, what's going on, man?
How's it going, Benny? Thank you for having me on your show today. I appreciate it.
Are you keeping it Rio?
Always. It's what I do. It's a way of life.
And I kind of understand you a little bit because I've been following your stuff. That's Rio comes from you probably being down on the Rio Grande, right?
No, it's actually my roofing company, Rio Blanco Roofing. And
but is that's a Texas thing, though. Something about Texas, right?
It's the Blanco River. It's a river. There's a Blanco River down here between San Antonio and Austin.
And there's the Rio Grande River, right?
Absolutely. There's a ton of them. So we're the Rio Blanco. Stuff. It's not far from us. It's a historical, location. So when we bought the company, it was already named that. But I named the podcast after it because I thought that was a pretty cool name, right? Keeping It Rio.
Keeping It Rio, man. No, I think it's I like it because it's a little play off your company. It's kind of like this is probably like your passion project, right? The podcasting.
Oh, yeah. We're having a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, I'm having fun, too. How many episodes are you in?
I just did 98. I've got 2 to go to hit 100.
You're going to be like around episode 50 for me. I'm not sure exactly what episode it'll drop, but like it's definitely going to be like right around 50. So I'm about.
It's a lucky number. Week?
So you've been doing it for 2 years?
No, I started, I guess about a year and a half ago. Really, it was the third quarter of last year we started it, and I was doing a few episodes here or there extra, and but we try to do one a week on average. There for a while we were doing a live one every Thursday, and it's kind of evolved now to more of a format like what we're doing right here, where I just kind of talk to people and have a good time with it.
Do you have, I haven't listened to all 100 episodes. Is it a variety of different guests? Is it people in roofing? Is it just people in Texas? Is it a mix of everybody you know?
Well, man, I've had some seriously cool guests in the first 100. I've had a lot of good people from the roofing industry. I've had, like Dale Childress, Lee Haight, Stan Bastick from Atlas. I've had, Deshaun Bryant, Ben Machaca, all kinds of great guests from the industry. I've also had some unique guests from outside. I've had a couple authors, a professional wrestler, a mortician, had an Elvis impersonator.
That's cool.
And what else? Oh, the gentleman who created and invented the hot sauce that's our sponsor. I had the chef on as well. So we've had some pretty cool guests, and it's definitely not just been roofing or business or anything like that.
Well, that gets boring, and then you'd have to start something else, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I want to talk to people that are fun and entertaining, and our industry has a lot of fun, entertaining people, but there are also some pretty cool people outside of it that need some attention, I think.
I see you got the Brutus the Buckeye over there in the corner. Can you tell me a little bit about why Brutus is there? Because I'm an Ohio State guy, so.
Because I was born and raised in Columbus. I went to a game at the Shoe for probably, I don't know. I don't even know how many games I've been to at the Shoe, but I'm a diehard Buckeye since I was a little boy. I've had Brutus with me since episode 1 of Keepin It Rio. He's always found his way into the background. My whole office is basically just Ohio State. It's scarlet and gray, and I'm here in San Antonio. Watched the Michigan game. I found out there was an entire group of people here that are Buckeye fans, so it was kind of cool, even though the result wasn't what we were hoping for.
Yeah.
I found some cool Buckeye fans.
We've been kicking Michigan's butt for so many years now.
Well, here's what's about to happen, I think, okay? And this is going to be on your podcast, so it's on record publicly of me saying this. So if it comes true, you heard it here first. Ohio State's going to defeat Georgia in their playoff game. It's going to be a tight game. Georgia's really good. Michigan's going to beat TCU, and then in the national championship game, it's going to be the highest-rated game in the history of the world. The Buckeyes are going to stomp Michigan and win the national title, and then that loss, it never happened. So,
well, no, it makes that victory even better.
That's true. And it's enjoy that, guys. That was cool.
Because it's really hard to beat the same team twice when you're at that high of a level.
Exactly. And it's got to be emotionally kind of difficult when you come into a game like that you just lost pretty handily, and it's like, man. But I don't know. I like Rocky.
I actually don't follow sport. Since COVID, I have stopped following sports religiously. Like I used to be like a diehard. Like I would know every player. I would know every game, every team, every score. Since COVID and they stopped sports for a while, I was just like, you know what, I don't need it. And then I never went back. Now I did watch some of the big games. Like I watched a Super Bowl. I'll like watch that. I'll watch like, Ohio State, Michigan a little bit. It's weird watching games now, though, because it's like, man, you don't know any of the drama. You don't know any of the stories. Like, and it's like all new players, especially in college, man. Like, the players come in, like, they're always new. They're always leaving. They're always coming, What do you think? Where's the game going to be played, the national championship game?
I'll be honest. I have no clue. I'm just like you.
Let's look it up.
I was
right
a
now.
huge fan.
Let's look it up right now. Where's the national championship going to be played at?
I have a feeling it's going to be probably in Arizona.
National Championship 2023.
Or maybe in Dallas.
January 9th at SoFi Stadium. So is that L.A.?
Okay, that's pretty nice.
SoFi's L.A., right? Yeah.
I think
so. That's going to be a big, that'll be a big event. If that's Ohio State, Michigan in L.A., what a great, neutral field. What a great place to, like, take in a game, state-of-the-art, like, I don't know, what do they say, $4 billion? Would they say $4 billion? Did they spend on that? $2 billion or something?
Yeah, it's brand new, state of the art, and that would be a cool place to see it. I went to the game where Ohio State played Oregon for the national title here in Dallas, and that was pretty cool. I enjoyed it tremendously.
I've been to some big games. I was at a Sugar Bowl game with Ohio State. I was at a Fiesta Bowl over in Phoenix. Obviously been to some games in Columbus. All right, enough about sports, though, because sports makes me irritated sometimes.
I'm the same way, and it's funny you say that because I quit watching it when COVID hit the same way, and I was extremely, I watched TV probably 50, 60 hours a week for years. I took the TV out of my house when COVID hit, and it's amazing. I got so much more productive. I got myself together a little bit, and actually,
how long have you
stuff.
How long have you had Keepin at Rio?
We started Keepin at Rio on the beginning of the third quarter of last year. And Keepin at Rio was...
you bought the company.
Oh, no, Rio Blanco is the roofing company. Rio Blanco Roofing,
sorry,
yeah.
Rio Blanco. So I was talking about the roofing company. How long have you been the roofing company?
Since March of 2019. And basically, Rio Blanco Roofing was out of business. It was founded in 2014. Went through a couple different renditions of ownership. It reverted back to the original guy who didn't want to do it, so he kind of shut it down, and we found an opportunity to help a guy that didn't want to do it anymore, that just wanted to be retired. We were able to get a pretty good deal for it, the name, the branding and stuff, and the rest is history. I moved down here to San Antonio and took on a dead, out-of-business company and rebranded it.
That's really cool. I like to go a little deeper on that. Can we go deeper on that? Because that's
deep as you want. That's the story of my life. I love to talk about it.
There's not very many people that have the vision to be able to do something like that, right? And I want to know a couple different questions. So first question I have on that is, why not just start your own roofing company from scratch if you're going to buy one that's basically defunct anyway?
It's a good question.
What did you buy other than the logo and the name? And did they even have a big name anyway? Because
not really. I think there was probably about 50 positive reviews, and that was the cool thing about it. Okay, it went out of business, but it wasn't because he was doing bad work. The guy had a great reputation. It was 5-star.
Uninterested.
Yeah. So we bought a good reputation, a name that was here for X amount of years that we could come in and say, hey, look. This company was here. It's got a little bit of a history, but we've changed it. We're going to update it. And, it was kind of an experiment, honestly, to help a friend out as well.
What did you do before that?
I worked in a roofing company over in College Station as a sales rep for 7 years. And then I joined ASAP Roofing over in East Texas at the beginning of 2019. And that's how this whole thing kind of came together was through my association with those guys. They bought Rio Blanco and partnered with me, and it's kind of a sister company, I guess, to ASAP, which is the corporate brother.
So you were in East Texas. San Antonio is southwest Texas, right?
Yeah, it's about 6 hours difference.
And did you want to move to San Antonio, or you wanted to move there because you wanted this roofing company?
Craziest thing. I had never in my wildest dreams considered San Antonio until we were sitting at dinner and the opportunity for Rio Blanco was brought to me. At that moment, it was like, where would you like to go? And I had 5 places. It was like Phoenix, Charlotte, anywhere in Texas, And I never even thought of San Antonio as a possibility. It had never crossed my mind. And then it was just brought up, and I said, yeah, San Antonio, let's do it. So literally the first day I'd ever been here was the day that I got here to start the company. And I lived in the office for about 2 months because I wasn't even sure if we were in a good neighborhood or where we were at. And, started it like that, the old-fashioned way.
And why did you want to do that versus like what you were doing before? Like what exactly was your role before in the roofing company that you left?
I was a sales rep, residential.
So you just wanted to do your own thing. You're just like,
nah, I knew that I had more to offer. I like training people. I like teaching. I've been a student of the game. I've been in the industry for 24 years, so I've learned a lot. Wow. And I like talking to people about it, And my history is really weird and different than anybody else. So it's like, I kind of have an understanding of every aspect of the business, and it was a challenge. It was something new. A company that's out of business in one of the toughest markets in the country. Why not, dude? I mean, that sounds fun. Let's go ahead and just make that happen, and here we are, right? If you don't believe in yourself and you don't believe you can do it, then you have no business doing it. So
what was the conversation like with your previous company when you said, hey, I'm leaving, I'm going to go start my own roofing company? How'd that conversation go? For people out there that are listening, I was a salesman at a roofing company. You were a salesman at a roofing company. There's a lot of guys that are either good at swinging a hammer that start their own company or good at sales that start their own company. What do you say for a guy out there that's looking to do his own thing? How did you have that conversation with the previous guy?
Well, it's weird because when I left that company, I didn't know any of this was going to happen. It was only 2 months down the road, but I had never
so
in
you
my
left
wildest
before
dreams.
you even had something ready to go.
I had a job where I was going to go work at ASAP Roofing as a sales rep, and I was just planning on getting in there because it was a very quickly growing company, and I really liked what they had going, and I figured I could get on and help build it and take my expertise of sales and help build a younger sales force. But I had no idea that I was going to be doing the ownership aspect just 2 months later. So when I left, I just said, hey, I just want to go do something different. I want a change of scenery. I actually relocated to Indianapolis at that point, and I was only there for a couple months, but, it was completely out of the blue. So I never had the conversation of, hey, thank you, but I'm going to go start my own business.
Gotcha. So you just went to get another job, and then before you basically got settled into another job, you're like, man, I can start my own. I'm just going to go do that.
Yeah, and it all came from the same opportunity. The owners of ASAP Roofing approached me and said, hey, let's buy into this, and you go run it, we'll have an ownership.
So you actually have partners that are kind of assisting with that. So tell me about how that works, because that's an interesting thing, right? Because it's lonely to doing stuff by yourself. I'll tell you that, because I started by myself. It was very hard and lonely.
It is, and I'll be 100% honest. I tell everybody that I talk to about this, like, I couldn't do this by myself. There's too much involved for someone like me. I don't have that mindset to where I could sit and take care of all that stuff. So I partnered up with an existing company that's thriving, that at that point I think had 9 or 10 branches across the country. Well established. They figured out how to do it. In a couple of years, it went from nothing to 20 million in sales, and I wanted to emulate that. So
do they have any other smaller companies?
Do they what?
Do they have any other smaller companies other than their major one? Like yours?
Absolutely. There are locations all over. I don't know that they still have one in Boise, Idaho, or Indy, but they were as far reaching as that. And I think there's like 9 or 10 of them right now in Texas.
But they're all
and then Rio Blanco, there were 3
under
of us.
The name's ASIS, you said?
ASAP, ASAP.
ASAP. Okay, well, I like that. But other than ASAP, there's just it's just Rio Blanco, and then and that's it.
Yeah, and then we also have a social media consulting firm that's built into the organization that one of the owners of ASAP Roofing, who is the wife of one of the owners and sister of the other, has a social media branding company, K Socialized Media. So we've kind of got that whole
so they kind of do the marketing for both companies
together. Does the marketing for all of our companies.
What about the accounting? Like, do you have to do your own accounting, or do they help you with the accounting?
they take care of everything. I'm spoiled to death.
So
and,
it's almost like a franchise,
it.
but not a franchise. It's kind of like interesting, right? Like you're running sales and ops probably, and
exactly. I do production and I do sales, and I don't have to take care of any of that back end stuff, which is the cool part about the partnership.
Yeah, that's the part that's boring, right?
Yeah, and I don't mess with it. There's people that are smart that take care of that stuff. Supplementing for the company. We've got supplementers who are experts in their field. We've got people who take care of payroll. We've got people that take care of, HR and everything that you need to run the company properly. And they make sure that I stay in line. So it's a great partnership. I'm very fortunate to have.
How much of it do you own? How much does that company or brand own? Like how much, do you have more control or do they have more control or?
We're technically three ways, 33, 33, 33.
Okay.
And that's the way that I like it. And the ultimate plan, I think, down the road is maybe as it continues to grow to see what direction I want to go and the partners want to go with it. And, I think 3-4 years down the road, there's the potential that I might be able to, assume the full ownership of it, buy it out, and, then take it from there. But this first part is amazing because, like I said, there's no way it would still be here if it were just me. I'd already run it into the ground.
So do you have, so talk about partnerships, right? Because there's a lot of guys that'll say, partnerships suck, man. And then there's other people that are like, partnerships are great, right? Obviously, it's in the eye of the beholder. It's all about the past experiences people have. Everybody I think in life has had, it's just like family, right? Like we got some family members that we get along great with. There's some family members that we don't get along great with. I think it all comes down to communication. How have you been able to communicate clearly and get what you want across and feel respected, and about how the company that's helping you get what they want across and feel respected? And how does all that work together? Especially with, I bet, a lot of alpha males in the room.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so that's the thing, and it's like it's worked out very well because the truth of the matter is everybody is willing to listen to the other perspectives, and everybody is a grown-up and understands, we're all going for the same thing. Does everybody agree with everybody at every time? Of course not. That's never going to be the case, and that's kind of the cool thing about having three is there's always a deciding vote or a deciding voice. So it's like there's never going to be a tie. Yeah, there'll never be a tie. And, as long as you're willing to accept that everybody's looking out for the greater good and is trying for the best of the company, which I have no doubt in my mind. My guys that I work with over there are absolutely amazing.
Who's the third partner? If ASAP is one partner, who's the third one?
Well, the two owners of ASAP are the owners with me here. And there's at ASAP Roofing, you've got Clint, Joseph, and Leanne, and then over here you've got Clint, Joseph, and Chuck. So that's kind of the dynamic. So does Clint and Joseph,
because I don't know those guys, do they have different mindsets? Are they different? Like, do they have different roles and stuff like that? Is one stronger in one thing and somebody stronger in another? You have a different skill set and it kind of works well together?
Everybody kind of blends because we all kind of complement each other. One guy is very, very astute with business degrees and very number oriented. Another guy's a visionary
type of guy.
Yeah, another guy's a visionary, and he sees things, 3, 4, 5 years down the road and sees the big picture. Yeah. And then you've got me, and I kind of just, you got
all the roofing and the ground knowledge, and you got and you know how to deal with the customers and the employees and the subs and the suppliers and the products.
Exactly. So there's a great dynamic with the three because they're all completely different, but everybody gets along really well. Family members, brother-in-laws, wife/sister in that dynamic as well. So it's really a family organization, and, we do some really cool things together. We get to go do cool events and hang out. We go to RoofCon. We're doing an event. K Socialized Media is doing an event in East Texas in February. They're putting on the event.
Nice.
And, having speakers and the whole deal. We did a cool event in Orlando earlier this year where we rented out a 15-room mansion, and K Socialized Media put on this great 3-day retreat. So we do a lot more than roofing. It's a roofing company, sure, but it's more like I want to hire people and help them be better, and it's more personal development and growth. And, roofing just happens to be a pretty cool way to earn a living and help people.
Roofing's the vehicle.
That's it. And you can help people, and as long as you're doing it for the right reasons, I think this is the greatest industry in the world. I think some of the things you learn, some of the people that you get to meet, it's priceless,
Yeah, I think it's definitely helped me in my career, and definitely opened up doors that I never would have had opened, and learned a lot of things from other mentors and coaches and trainers, and then got to start my own podcast because of it. I would have never been able to start my own podcast. I would have never had the time or even like the vision to even be able to do something like that had I not learned systems and processes, how to delegate things, to not be out in the field all the day, not to be having to sell jobs all day, not to be making sure customers are happy. So it is kind of cool, right? We get to go to conferences, we get to travel around a little bit. It kind of does make it fun. I always tell customers and employees, the roofing gets in the way of leadership, employee excitement, customer excitement, fun, learning. Roofing's just kind of like the little.
It's there. It's the thing, and
it's my least favorite part of the whole system.
After 24 years in the industry, I've seen enough roofs done. If I never see another roof installed on site, I think I'll be okay.
Yeah. What's the biggest challenge to growing a business right now in this economy and the world, the way the world is?
Everything. With roofing, it's always going to be challenging. That's the cool thing about it. We all go through the same challenges. It's how you adapt, right? I mean, everybody's probably complaining that the price of shingles is higher than they want to be paying right now. Some people are getting paralyzed by it because they just, oh my God, I can't sell it for that. And they're giving up. They're throwing their hands up. Yeah, exactly. Everything is. Heck, I just went to the CVS and deodorant's $10 a stick now. It used to be $4. Part of it. But
Christmas shopping's out of this world right now. Just so you know, I was like, I don't really keep track of money that well. How much prices are. I don't really look at that stuff.
You see it this year though.
And now it's like, dang, bro, that's a lot of cash, man. Plane tickets are up a lot. I've noticed flights, hotels. I just booked my ticket for IRE. It was $300 or $400 a night to stay over in Dallas, man. What the heck?
Yeah, it's crazy, and that's the world that we're living in. So obviously, that's across the board with everything.
Yeah, we're just adding another zero now, and it's just it's all funny money.
Add some more paper, add a little bit more tone.
Yeah, the millionaire is now broke.
Exactly. It's a crazy world. But what we have to do is also realize we've got something that people are still going to need, and we have to make sure that we can be there and that they know about us when they need us. So. I think in these times you really kind of double down. And honestly, when COVID hit, we went in a direction where we expanded really quickly to 3 branches of Rio Blanco. And now we've kind of scaled it back down a little bit. We rebranded one to an ASAP and the other one we kind of absorbed because it's just, I think right now you have to kind of focus on your core and you have to be as strong as humanly possible. And then you start to diversify. If you're too thin and you're not strong at one solid thing, you're going to be in trouble, because if you're giving 30% here, 30% here, 30% there, you're going to get swallowed up. Right now you've got to be the absolute best at marketing. You've got to be out there. People have to know who you are. You've got to have a good product, obviously, even though that's probably the least important factor of the entire equation because, shingles are shingles, let's be honest. Everybody's got their favorites, but...
Yeah, and those are billion-dollar companies.
Asphalt with granules,
they're billion-dollar companies making products. We hope that they're at least, at a
somewhat
level, right?
decent quality, right? So everything's
the barrier to entry to start your own shingle line is very, very hard. So, you need hundreds of millions of dollars to start manufacturing plants and stuff like that. So I think there's only five or six players in the world, as far as shingles go.
It's not something that we're going to start, hey, I'm going to go out back and start throwing some shingles together.
Yeah, it's service based. Everything comes down to service, right? Who can provide the best service, right? And it's a combination of all the moving parts, right? Through manufacturing, distribution, subcontractors, employees, vendors, training companies, all the pieces and parts that go to make a successful roofing company. And most of the time, homeowners have no idea because they're so programmed to a guy like Chuck coming over from 24 years ago that had a hammer in his thing saying, hey, I could do the roof. And I read on the back of a business card, right, it's going to be, back then it's probably $5,000. Now it's like $15,000. And say, I can do your roof. And you're like, yeah, cool, man. And you just go do it and come back. But it's not the way we do business anymore.
Not even close. And I'll give you credit there. You were using a business card. I mean, most guys were using napkins back in the day. And some still do. I still see that stuff on occasion. But that's the truth of the matter. And, with everything, if you don't keep up and you don't stay a little bit ahead of the curve, what advantage do you have? So with us, I mean, we've gone all in with our training platform. We've got an in-house training. It's Lightspeed VT.
Ooh, is that a Brad Lee program?
Yes, and it's all done in-house per, our guys in our company doing the videos, so it's specific to the business.
Is that different? How different is that platform than like a company like Trainual where you can have a platform and upload videos and content?
I'm not familiar with that one, but Lightspeed, I've had Grant Cardone, I've had Lee Haight, I've had several of them with that, and I think it's awesome.
So
it's very simple to use.
You got to program it yourself, though. You got to load it with text. You got to load it with videos. You got to load it with, all the content. Like, they don't give you anything, right? It's just a platform, right?
As far as I know, I think there's some template, but I don't know. I wasn't really a part of that process. I do a couple videos that are in it, and I just kind of record them and send them over, and then they end up in there. But when they started that, I wasn't here, so. They've got that going, though. And then we also do a lot of events. We've got a nice big corporate office in Texas and get a lot of the people in there for, beginning of the year, we're going to have Deshaun Bryant, who's a very well-known
the Roof
sales
Hustler,
guy.
baby.
Yeah, he's going to come do some speaking for us. Yeah, he was just on my podcast a couple weeks ago. He's a super guy.
Oh, yes. Very humble. He's one of the most humble.
There.
He's one of the most humble, sweetest men I've ever met in my life.
Without a doubt, but he's also very honest and isn't going to sugarcoat anything. I'll tell you exactly what's up, and you'll still be like, you know what?
He's got a great personality.
Yeah, thank you for telling me I suck, Deshaun. I appreciate that, buddy. He's that. But he's going to be our guest this time for this one. So we're going to have, 100-plus people from the company come from all the offices, kick the year off right, do that. We do trips. We've gone to Oklahoma for the last 4 years. Everybody in the organization gets to go to Broken Bow. We rent out the entire... there's a whole lodge, 50 or whatever, 60 rooms, and then, everything's provided for. So it's definitely a cool organization I'm happy to be a part of. And that's what separates us, going back to how do you build a business? You've got to have the right people, and you've got to have that culture. And if you do things as a team and you do things together and you build that family bond, everybody really puts that extra effort in that you don't get if it's just a company and you're just going to work.
So when you were looking at opportunities, when you were going to go work for ASAP, and then that was happening, I'm assuming that then one of the guys at ASAP said, hey, man, we got this, there's a brand on here called Rio Blanco. We have the chance to be able to buy that. Should we pursue that? Chuck, are you interested in running that? And you're probably like, oh, man, that sounds cool, man. I got a brand. I got my own brand. I can go do my own thing, right?
Absolutely.
It's separate than ASAP. What? Why not? Why didn't they just want to start another ASAP that was already ready to go that they didn't have to actually pay money for?
I kind of think like what you just said. And there was also maybe a little bit of a test to see how something like that could work, to build a larger network,
Marketing guys love testing.
Yeah, maybe to build a bigger network of brands underneath that umbrella. And, if this one worked and it was a success, then there are opportunities to do that for a lot of the smaller companies, especially right now when people are struggling. A lot of family-owned operations are having a hard time. Pricing is not favorable to a small roofing business versus, major conglomerates that you get in towns like San Antonio and Houston and all over the country. So a lot of these family organizations are struggling. And the idea behind it was, okay, there are a couple different things. Like, you can buy the brand outright and take it under the umbrella like this was. And I like the fact, just like you said, that I was able to start with my own brand, my own identity. I am Rio Blanco, and anybody that thinks of Rio Blanco thinks of me, and vice versa. But that was kind of the deal, It was like, let's see how this works. Maybe we can do this and kind of make it a larger scale project. And then also there was the thought that, okay, a family company is not doing very well. Maybe you could go in and offer them the opportunity to be a part of your organization, give us X amount of this ownership. We'll put the systems in place. We'll do everything there so you can mirror what we're doing to be successful. You can stay and run the thing. And then we partner, So there are a couple different thought processes. For me, it was more just about having my own brand and actually being able to kind of be the face of it. I love ASAP, but there's a lot of superstars over there as well. And this kind of gave me a chance to form my own identity and do what I wanted to do, and that's always kind of been my thing. So very appreciative of that. And it did just kind of happen by surprise over dinner one night. Never saw it coming.
Yeah. Did you, so did you actually have to write a check? Like, they're like, hey, we need a check. Like, and like, here, I got to write a check to come to work. Like, how's that work?
The beauty of it is mine is sweat equity. So, a dead brand, obviously, it's not a several bazillion dollar transaction.
There was no employees coming with it. There was nothing. Like, did you even have subcontractor relationships coming with it? Like anything?
No. I didn't know anybody.
Just the logo, the Google My Business location.
And our truck.
Was there a building? Was there a building?
A rental building that was leased, yeah.
So,
and that's where we had our office for a couple of years.
Lease? Yeah.
We took over the lease. It was empty when I got here. I moved everything back from storage into that building, and it was just me. When I hired my first guy, I didn't even have furniture in my office yet, So it was definitely a ground floor build.
How much? So, like, how much can I buy a brand for, like an empty brand with 50 Google reviews? Like, what's a good price?
I'm not even gonna lie. I don't even know. I didn't even ask. I had nothing to do with the financial on that. I was brought in as, we're going to pay for the stuff on the finance side. You're going to run it, and then we'll figure everything out at the end.
I'm just curious because that sounds like a great idea. Go around and scoop up some like 50 review brands that are not really going to be around much longer, and then just I could actually just change the name.
Yeah.
Because once I can control their Google My Business, right, I just change the name and start putting my systems and processes in under, right?
That's it. This just was a cool brand. It had a nice logo. Well, I like the logo.
It's like no different than if you saw Big Fish, and Big Fish was like, hey, we got 565 Google reviews. That's got to be worth something, right? That's probably worth a little bit more than the one with 50, right?
Exactly. And I've gotten it up over 275 now. So we're continuing to build it and go. And we're coming into our 4th year, and things are looking good. We're trying to stay ahead of the curve. I've got some cool things that we're doing. I have a partnership now with Roofer, which is helping my roofing business as well as my podcast this year. So really excited about some of the opportunities that's going to afford to kind of help get us on the forefront of some of the technology that's out there, and help people even quicker. Because I think something that people forget in our industry a lot is, money does still love speed, and homeowners don't like waiting 3 or 4 or 5 days to get back, a quote from somebody or to hear back from a sales rep. And if you can find ways to be on the front end of that, life is so much easier. So, there's a lot of things that we're going to implement that we're trying to work with to make it a lot simpler process for the homeowner. So it's just an easy deal for them to go with us.
Do you lean, I know you've been in roofing for 24 years, do you lean more on the operation side or more on the sales and marketing side?
I'm definitely, that's an interesting question because my background is very unique. When I started in it 24 years ago, I was a driver of a flatbed truck doing ground drops by hand. And then I drove for 12 years. I drove a conveyor truck and I roof loaded houses for 12 years.
Yeah, so low skill level operations, right?
Very.
And then you probably worked your way up through the operations, and now I'm assuming you learned branding and marketing and sales then, right?
Exactly. And the way that it happened was I was a truck driver, and then one day out of the blue, they came up to me and said, hey, we're going to open a branch in North Carolina. Would you like to go run it? And I'm like, yeah, let's go. So I'd moved to Charlotte, North Carolina from Columbus, my home in Ohio. And that was in 2010. We opened up a roofing supply from scratch. And
supply?
Yeah, supply.
Supplier.
So I did a roofing supply company for a few years. I was in distribution as a driver. I learned all that stuff, and then I went there. We opened it, ran that for a few years. It wasn't really my thing. And then I ended up in Texas over in College Station doing sales. So it's kind of a strange evolution for me as far as that goes. But my time in distribution, I did nothing but operations, and then my time in sales has been really more sales oriented. So in a weird way, I'm kind of like pretty balanced as far as that goes.
What do you think you still need to learn the most? Like if you had 2 weeks and you said there was undivided attention and I said, Chuck, I need you to get better at some part of your business. What are you going to go into a rabbit hole and start learning?
How to control myself a little bit better emotionally. I think really my mindset is the biggest thing that gets me. And I think human beings are that way. We second guess decisions that we make. We wonder, was that the right thing? Do I look smart? Sometimes you get caught up in your own thoughts. And when you're doing something like this, you can't help but have that happen to you, 50 or 60 times a day. So I think if I go into a cave, I would just sit there and I'd focus on nothing but mindset for 2 weeks and, come back out feeling a lot better about things. That's just a constant evolution. I think mindset will be my answer every day for the rest of my life. What do I need to work on? It's always going to be the same thing.
What do you do currently, or what have you done in the past to enhance your mindset?
Oh, I mean, I love to do all kinds. I love to read. I love to do podcasts. All pretty much, you name it. A lot of
specific. I really want to know.
Okay, like in the last year, I think some of the titles I read was Extreme Ownership, which was really a great book.
Jocko Willink.
Yep, and I met Jocko at Lee Hate's event in Fort Lauderdale this year. It was cool. We were in the gym together. David Goggins, I like. Ed Milet, Grant Cardone.
So you like all those like alpha males, like those like,
guys.
Just like,
that's kind of my personality, and it's kind of how I modeled myself and my persona, I guess. So yeah, I like them, and I like to just I always like to be learning things. I like to go out and visit with people and just have random conversations with people. That's what I love about the podcast. We can just have a talk like this and. Who knows what we're going to talk about? 5 minutes before this, we'd never spoken to each other, and it's like,
never.
What do you want to talk about?
I think I didn't get to see you at RoofCon.
Yeah, and what do you want to talk about? I don't know. What do you want to talk about? I don't know. Let's just hit record and see what happens. And stuff like that is really cool. And I think that just being able to continue to develop those friendships, of course, across the United States and the industry, and just in life in general, is really. That's what keeps me going right now. As far as that, I've also got a pretty good fitness routine that I've really worked myself into over the last 2 years. And, once you get into something like that, you get to the point where you feel like you've really cheated yourself if you don't give your best effort. So that's a great motivational speech. When you get up in the morning and it's like, I don't want to go to the gym. And 45 minutes later, you're pissed off because you decided not to go to the gym. So you get up and go to the gym, and then you work twice as hard. So
yeah.
That's really been my two things: fitness routine and just always trying to learn and always trying to, make new friends.
Have you ever heard of the term emotional intelligence?
Yes.
I feel like that goes a lot with what you said about mindset. The way we respond to people, how we're aware of like who we are, how we're aware of how others are. I learned a lot through reading a couple books on emotional intelligence to help me with not only with mindset, but then like how to like act after I have the mindset and then be able to respond to people. Because there's people of all different walks of life, especially as a entrepreneur in a roofing business. We're dealing with, customers, and customers have different skill sets and different levels of like where they come from. You got to be able to talk to all of them. You got, your sub crews, you got your employees, and they all have different ranges, right? And then you have your partners, right? And then there's probably different nuances there that you got to be mindful of. Have you ever done any like yoga or meditation or anything like that?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, yoga, as far as that goes, not a whole lot, but we did do a retreat, like I said, back in, I guess it was March in Orlando. And one of the morning activities, we had yoga out there, and it was everybody out on this basketball court, and we were doing it. And it was really great because my back has been hurting me for like 20 years, and it felt great for, a while after. So I started trying to do it myself, but I just kind of fell off on that. Meditation, I don't know that I have any like formal meditation, but there's a lot of times where I'll just sit in a room.
Have you ever done it before?
Not like
sit
a structured
down for an hour
one.
and like somebody's like guiding you through like a process.
I always fall asleep. I never really make it to the full hour.
Me too, and that's because we need it. That's what I've been told, because our brains are going like a mile a minute. That's one extra realm. Once they, sounds like you got the physical fitness routine down, which is like half the battle, right? That's like the action. You read the books, you learn about that, then you're putting it into play with the fitness. But then to control the mind, I've been learning about this whole, mindfulness thing, which is very, very like next level. And it's so simple, actually. It's hard.
That's the key, right?
Us as humans, we like to complicate things.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes it's just right there in front of you, and it's like, well, let's muddy the water up first before we try to figure it out. And we get in our own way. Like you said, everybody gets in their own way.
I went to a Tony Robbins event called Unleash the Power, and it was just a good combination of physical, mental, mindfulness, meditation, self, overcoming your self-limiting beliefs, it was intense, right? Like we walked on fire. I mean, like it was like a workshop. So like you learned it, but then you actually did a bunch of stuff. So then that way it kind of sticks with you, right? Because I think the biggest thing that we all struggle with is adoption, right? Like, you know, even like you talk about CRMs, right? Like, and you talk about like different processes in our business. Well, there's 1,000 different ways we could do it. The one that matters is the one that we actually do, and then we stay consistent with. And I feel like a lot of us like to always like, you know, as soon as we learn something, it's like, oh, let's change it. Let's go do something different.
It's amazing. You know, I tell people, it was weird. 2 years ago, we were doing a conference, and it was the first time I was going to be a speaker of any sort. So we got headshots done. And my headshot, I mean, it was like I ate a basketball, right? My face was so fat, and I was so disgusted by it that it was like, okay, I have to do something. I was too fat to go do anything really substantial, and I was still pretty lazy. So it was like, I'm just going to go for a walk around the block once a night and do that. And that morphed into, last year I did over 1,000 miles, which is amazing to me. I averaged over 3 miles a day for the entire year. And then, you know, this year I've run a half marathon. I've done several 10-mile runs and stuff. And it gets easier as you go. But the simple fact is you have to start somewhere, and you have to be able to say, okay, I can't do this like I need to do. But if I'm willing to put in the work and be humble and not quit because it's hard or get discouraged and say, I'm not doing it, you know, that's where you win. And that's not just this, but it's everything in life, really. You know, nothing's going to be easy. The stuff that's easy usually sucks anyway. So
yeah,
work for it.
There's no
you know,
easy,
don't
there's
give
no
up.
easy button.
No, I wish there was on some things, and some things, you know.
What do you wish there was an easy button on? Well, if one thing that you could create an easy button for, what would it be?
I wish I could just create an opportunity to where everybody in the entire San Antonio market wanted a brand new roof, and they said, I'm going to call Chuck. And if I could just program that in everybody's brain, I'd
well,
hit
you
the
can.
button.
I mean, lots of TV, lots of radio, lots of billboards, lots of Google, lots of SEO, lots of podcasts, lots of
we're working on it, yeah.
events, right? Like you can.
That's the key. We're working on that.
It just takes lots of dollars and lots of time.
Yep. And we're willing to commit. So that's going to be the key to it, is just getting out there and seeing that.
That's got to be a big market.
Oh, it's huge. It's very competitive, but it's price driven as well, which is kind of weird. I'm not used to that. So
is it very, I mean, I'm assuming, I know like most of Texas, is it mostly driven by insurance proceeds?
For the most part, San Antonio is. There's a lot of outlying towns that get hit, you know, once a year, something will get it. So it's 90% that, 10% retail.
Everybody kind of converges on like the neighborhood, and it's just like a...
Yeah, you know, all 300 roofing companies get 2 houses.
Do you work the whole greater San Antonio area? Because I remember I've been to San Antonio a couple of times, and there's like 2 belts, right? Like there's 2 like circles around the town, like, and it's a big area, right? Like I mean, like
it's huge.
You know, you get on that belt. I mean, I don't know how long it takes you to go all the way around the circle, but
over an hour. Yeah, it's huge, and we've got a 100-mile radius. We've also got an office in College Station, so we kind of meet in the middle on that. But we don't. A lot of stuff doesn't end up, you know, we're Google searched. So if you're in San Antonio and you type in roofing company, we're going to show up. So we do feature most of the San Antonio area. Some of those outlying areas that are harder to get to, we don't, you know, really market to that much. But
which corner of the city are you in? Like northwest, southwest, northeast, southeast?
I'm like right in the middle, quite honestly.
Oh,
the
really?
airport is right next to me.
You're in the inner circle?
Yep, the airport is like, the planes, when they're coming down to land on the runway, they're probably less than 500 feet above my roof. That's how close I am to the airport.
Do you
they're literally...
Have you ever looked at like a map, like a heat map of like where all your jobs are at, and like see like what like that spread looks like?
We've got it up there, and it's crazy because there is like literally in the middle of the city, you know, we've got maybe about 15 or 20 down here, and then we've got hundreds up here.
So like,
and, our appeal is more for up here where we're closer to than the stuff that we're not marketing to, which makes sense, right?
Yeah, no, I'm just always curious when you look at the data, and then you know you figure about driving, and then you know I don't know. You follow Joseph Hughes, you know he always talks about like being 5 mile famous, right? So like, what would it take just for when you talk about everybody in San Antonio? How about everybody within like my 5 mile radius? To really know, you know, and will I drive 10, 15, 20 miles? Sure, obviously. Like, we're not going to turn work down, right? You know, for a little bit of a drive. But if I could be like the first choice of everyone, like closer, and then just keep going out every year, right? Wouldn't that be like the awesome goal?
That's the dream, right? And that's what we try, because we've got a very good location here. And, I've got a huge neighborhood behind us, and it's great houses. They're not hard to roof. They're all
big.
1.5 day jobs.
You guys got big roofs in Texas, man. That's one thing.
We do.
You also have a lot of roofers, though, too.
There are a lot of roofers, and there are a lot, there's not any regulation. So, of course, you're going to get that. And the truth of the matter is, most of the ones that stink, they weed themselves out relatively quickly. You can't do bad work for a long time and stay around. So,
well, if there was regulation, they want to let me and you in, man.
Oh, hey, I'd be fine. I got no problems. I am a law-abiding citizen.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. But it wasn't like the barrier to entry. We didn't have to be you don't have to have $1 million to start a roofing company.
You don't have to have anything. I mean, some of the greatest success stories I know.
If they put too much regulation in, then the little guy.
That's the beauty of it. It's also the part where it's like, okay, once you get to a certain point, it's like, well, now I wish I could shut the door.
Well, that's right. But how do you actually feel about that? Because this is where I always get, because I feel like without there being a whole lot of regulation, guys like us were able to start businesses because out of nothing. Because we might not have had the opportunity, because for instance, starting a plumbing company, it just seems like there's just so much more equipment and so much more certifications and
roofing's a simple thing. I mean, that's kind of an arrogant thing for me to say, but it is.
That's only because it's
an easy thing to do.
That's because you know it, right? Yeah.
Right. It's an easier thing. A lot of guys can go from people can go from being installers to roofing owners overnight. And that's great, and I encourage that. And I'm definitely not saying that, but it's I wish that once you got in and you got to a certain point that you could maybe have to have some sort of certification, some sort of process. Everything else, I mean.
But do you not think that because of that they let everybody in, doesn't it make it easier to stand out?
Sure it does, and that's great for people.
I always worry that if they
out.
cut that off, I feel like companies like ours, then because we're still small, I can still consider. I don't know about your company, but I feel like I probably only have less than 1% of the market share, and I still, we're probably going to do 8-9 million, and it's still one little, it's just tiny,
right?
Because there's so many contractors.
A lot there, yeah.
But what I'm saying is if they cut regulation off, I feel like then they equalize all the bigger to medium sized companies, and then it's we're all the same then. It's
what's the differentiation at that point? I definitely get that. But what I'm saying is some of the stuff that you see here in Texas is it's insane as far as workmanship goes.
Well,
and you're like, man,
it's no different in Pennsylvania. So it's
it's nationwide.
It's the Wild West, right?
Yeah,
I know Florida has some more people. Then somehow the people in Florida then they sell their license to people that shouldn't have a license, right. And it's they're just doing it it's interesting how they do business. That's a crazy game.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It is a crazy
and that's what we're facing here, and I tell people, as part of my deal when I meet with homeowners, why am I different? Because you're getting me, you're getting my experience, so on and so forth. But I make that joke, and I'm like, Mrs. Jones, you could literally go start a roofing company today, and you could probably be a cheaper bid than me, and homeowners are amazed by that. And I say, well, that's why our industry does have the reputation it has, because anybody can get in, and unfortunately not everybody's good, not everybody has great intent, and sometimes people get ripped off, sometimes things happen, and we all get lumped into that category, unfortunately, because of that. So it's a double-edged sword for sure. I agree.
Would you have any fun though? Would you have any fun working at Amazon? If you were working at the Amazon of roofing, would you actually have any fun though? Because if it's all the same all the time,
the industry as a whole would stink. It would be horrible at that point because all the personality would be gone.
Yeah, it'd be boring. But they figured it out. And it's optimal, and the customers would love it. But for guys like us, we get bored, right?
Instantly, yeah. I don't think I could do that. I'd be in a different industry for sure.
Well, they wouldn't need us. But by the time that happens, we'll both be dead, right?
I hope not. I mean, shit. I'm trying to be around a little while.
Well, I'm just saying, but 50 years from now, I could see them trying to make it to where there's only 3 or 4 big companies that are just servicing everybody, right?
I think that's the way of the world, I mean, look at retail, Amazon and Walmart and Target. What else, Yeah, back in the day there was 20 different places. Now that's it.
Yeah. Oh, it's definitely interesting. What do you think's going to happen? We're just getting started, I feel in this downturn of the economy. If you watch the news, watch your stock market, watch your 401k, right? what do you think is going to happen to the roofing industry as far as like residential retail or insurance, right? Like residential roofing. Do you think it's still going to be steady? Do you think it's going to go down? Do you think it's going to go up a little bit? Do you think that contractors are going to go out of business and it's going to be better for the guys that can stay in business? What's the prediction?
I think a combination of everything. Yes. Obviously it's getting tight. It's tough right now. I think it's the toughest it's ever been as far as, the time frame from starting a homeowner, initiating an insurance claim to that final check. I think it's drawn out more now than it's been in many, many years. And I think it's by design, obviously. That's just part of the game. You have to weather that somehow. So I think that a lot of the smaller companies that aren't able to withstand that, they're not going to have any choice, unfortunately. I think the industry of insurance is going to kind of control that pretty good for the next year or so, especially in Florida. So we'll see what happens. I think that the industry is going to, it's going to still be a necessary thing. If there's a hailstorm that hits tomorrow, guess what? We're all going to be busy. There's no
I just got a small
it.
one. We just got a small one south of Pittsburgh. I mean, baby one. Not enough for you to get excited and come up here and help me, but
no, but I mean, it's still there, right?
We'll get 50, 60, 70 jobs out of it. It'll get us. It'll be a nice little winner. It's like a nice little winner, like shot in the arm. It's like thank you, Jesus, type of thing. Like
something we weren't expecting. There it is. We appreciate that. That's always there, And if you're good and you can handle it, then fine. My honest opinion is, I think that I see a lot of people now doing something that I agree with, which is trying to get out of the insurance deal.
Yeah, I don't know anything about insurance. You could teach me a lot. We could probably do a whole podcast, and maybe I'll have you back on to do a private one just for like roofing customers, because I don't think a lot of roofing customers actually listen to this show because it's more about just people I know and stuff like that. But we could do a show about the insurance process as a whole, because
how it works,
I think you have a lot of experience with that. That would be fun.
I do have a lot of experience with that, and it's a crazy topic. It's always evolving, always changing. But I think that for us to maintain, we're going to have to develop a stronger retail aspect, and I think financing options are tremendous. I'm in an insurance market. My last several jobs have all been financed. Even the claim jobs have been financed, and it's
well, listen, because they can put that money in their pocket save it for a rainy day,
and hold
pay
on
a couple
to it,
$100 bucks a month for the roof. I mean, I would coach people how to do that. If you ever need any help with retail, I mean, again, I always feel like retail is, to me, like it's when I first entered the market, it just seemed like so much simpler because that's how we all buy stuff normally. Like,
if you don't know how to do retail, I mean, you're only half what you could be, right? And a lot of people are going to get lost in that because a lot of people are trained on insurance and they don't know how to evolve from that. They don't know how to pivot. What do you do?
Yeah, and they didn't. I think a lot of roofing companies, what I'm learning as I travel the country, talk to other contractors, especially in the storm markets, they're just so used to the process of the insurance claim and then the customer process. It's almost they forgot how to wow and make the customer experience better. Like they forgot about the Disney World, and they're just making everything like Amazon. It's like you got to mix both together. Is what it is. You got to mix both together, right? Like you have to have a high class customer experience, and you also you need to be able to get through processes and make it painless. But you got to give it the old. You got to wow it up a little. You got to sex it up.
That's what it is. It's roofing. It's roofing. How do you
make it
separate
fun.
yourself? Everybody's doing the same thing. We're taking hammers and nails. We're putting shingles on roofs. You got to be something different, right? And that's the whole key to it.
What's one thing that you do different that you don't think a lot of guys do?
Social media. I do a shit ton of social media, pardon my language, but I mean, we're all over the place. I have a podcast with 100 episodes. There's videos of me dressed up as Mario and Luigi sword fighting with one of our branch managers. There's a video we put out last year for Christmas where we smashed a printer and did the Office Space deal. We're people. We go out and we have fun.
Entertaining.
That's what we try to be, right? Because everything's the same. It's vanilla, vanilla, vanilla. At least mine's going to have some sprinkles on it, and it'll give you something kind of different to look at and enjoy. And, quite honestly, it's fun. I was over at a house the other day, and I didn't even realize that the guy was I'm a social media influencer, apparently. I didn't know this. I wasn't setting out for that.
You're an influencer, baby.
Jim Johnson's the one that said it, so if he says it, it's legit.
Oh, yeah.
So I go to this guy's house.
Roofing.
Right? I can't argue with the man. So I go to this guy's house the other day, and I'm up on the roof, and I'm doing a live video, and I asked a question in my live video, and the dude was inside his house watching it, and he answered the question from inside his house about the video. And I don't even know this guy, and he's like, yeah, I've been following you on social media for like 2 years. He's like, that's why you're on my roof, you know, because I like your personality and your jokes and your videos and stuff. And, you know, I started a brand here where there was nobody that I knew. I'd never been to San Antonio before. So what do?
That's awesome.
Social media, man. I social media'd the crap out of San Antonio. I liked everybody in San Antonio on Facebook, and those that were cool enough to respond and say yes have been blessed with amazing entertainment for the last 3.5 years, and that's helped build our company. My first job came because I took a picture with my roofing crew, and I posted it on my Facebook. So that's one thing that most people don't do enough, and I go overboard with it, but I'd rather be in your face constantly, so you're constantly thinking about me, than once a week.
So if you're listening to this episode and you're an entrepreneur and you own any kind of business, you're a media company, you're not necessarily what you think you are. You may do insurance, you may do real estate, you may do contracting, you may, do whatever you do. It's not what you do. First of all, it's why you do it, and then how do you broadcast the why? Because nobody cares about what you do. I mean, that's like the barrier to entry, right? Like they need they're going to need whatever they're searching for. But if they can find you and you're a media company, that's why all these big companies are owned by media companies now.
Absolutely.
Like they want to control the message, right? Like you want to control the message that, hey, you're fun Chuck Allen in San Antonio. And yes, they're going to get a roof, but they're also going to get an awesome experience, and they might get a couple, it might be funny while they're doing it too, and they're going to have a good time while they're there, and we're going to just keep it real. We're going to keep it real.
There you go, right? It all plays together, and that's the whole point of it, It's like this is our stage. It's absolutely free. We're doing a podcast right now, and who knows, this one might go viral. One of us might end up doing something really crazy or amazing at some point in our life, and this might come back and get Googled years down the road. Millions of people might end up seeing this, and we're doing it right now. Obviously, it's not free, but we can do this. We're in an age where you've got...
It's about as close as they can get. I think it's going to cost me, because I don't edit all this stuff together. It's my time, right? I got an hour. I think I pay this Riverside software, maybe $20 a month. I pay the other software like $15 a month, and then I pay a guy like $100 to put it all together and distribute it out. Yeah.
And all of a sudden there's reels, there's episodes, there's hundreds of hours of content out there, and right now crazy.
Right now there's not a ton of views, right? But as we do something special one day,
it keeps getting bigger.
Yeah, well, and again, if you do something, they're going to type your name in, and if I do something, they're going to type my name in, and if we both do something, that's really going to go crazy, and
that's it. And then they look at all of our past episodes, and next thing you know, we're taking Joe Rogan out. We're the top guys in podcasting. And it happens that way. It's crazy. My associate, Leanne, who owns K-Socialized Media, she started doing viral videos, and she hit one, and it's like once you get one and you start getting all these millions of people watching your stuff, guess what? They go back and watch the other stuff, and then they start building those numbers, and I'm seeing it happen with my podcast. I mean, heck, I just got a major sponsor, and
that's awesome.
I'm in negotiations with a couple other people.
I need to do that.
I think it's a good thing, for me.
Yeah, I like the idea of the hot sauce and getting free hot sauce. I gotta maybe I talk to your boy and see if I can
The hot sauce has been good to me, and it's the best hot sauce in the world. Thump hot sauce. That's LouisianaInABottle.com. Just throwing that out there.
I had my own spice split mix back in the day before I even started my own roofing company. It was called Benny's Blend. And I'd make my bottles myself and make them at my buddy's pizza shop. And I'd bottle like 100 or 200 bottles up, and I'd sell them for like $7, and I'd make like 100. I spent hours and hours to make like 100. But it was all about
because you loved it.
It was about making a product with a cartoon face. It was my first shot at of doing a little brand thing.
It was your thing.
And when I realized it worked, I was like, dang, dude, they just want to keep buying it. I don't want to keep making it because it's painful to make all that's and I got to figure all that out. And then when I realized, I can just do the same thing with roofing. I can market a roofing company, and then I could use my skills in sales, and we can we can poop out a baby,
Go out there and have some fun, and that's all this is. Like you said, we're marketing. That's really the key. We are marketing and media companies because Most
Do you like
roofers
that better
still
than
don't.
sales? Do you like that better than sales and ops? Or you're having more fun with the branding and the marketing, right?
Oh my gosh, this is the greatest thing ever. I get to go to events. I get to do, because of our associations with people, I get to go do consulting with sales teams for other roofing companies. I did a podcast episode from a mansion that was themed after video games. And, you know, I'm the only podcast that I know of that had a live water slide. I went down a water slide live on my podcast, you know. We played skee ball. We've done all kinds of cool things. So this to me is the most fun.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize how much fun it was until we started doing it. And then it was like, you know what? A lot of people really do pay attention to what you're doing. They watch, and they are very encouraging. So I'm going to keep going as long as I can, as long as people want me to do it and want to be guest on the show. And, you know. It is a lot of fun. What the heck? It's a lot of fun. I got some cool equipment. I got a giant microphone here that I paid way too much money for, and I got a mixing board, and I got lights and screens and all kinds of stuff going on. What the hell's going on over here?
I got buttons over here. I don't even know what does. Like, you know, they're still got the default like sounds. Hold on, let me play one.
I got the same thing.
Yeah. I
got a Rodecaster Pro.
Yeah, me too. I need to learn how to program the soundboard so that way I can have I need to have like a Chuck saying on here. So like, you know, I get my favorite sayings from all my favorite guests, and then just be able to like pop something up, right? And like, so like, that's like the next level though, right?
I'm gonna give you one real quick, and I don't know if you'll be able to hear it or not, because sometimes when I play it on my road, it doesn't go through on another podcast. But this is my personal favorite.
Oh, Chuck's the man.
Chuck's the man.
Yeah,
that's my favorite. That's my favorite sound right there. So
that's awesome, man. I need to get like so.
That's one of my co-hosts.
So your co-host did that, and then you programmed it to the board, right?
I pulled it off one of our videos that we did, and I popped it right in there. I've got a couple that are, you know, pretty good ones.
Hit another one, man. I want to hear another one.
Let's see what else we got here. We got the old the female crowd. We've got.
Do you have them marked, labeled, so you can remember which ones are which?
I don't know if I'm allowed to play that one or not.
You're allowed to play whatever you want,
They're
bro.
marked up here on the screen. You can see what each one is. Like this one here is called Kaboom.
Kaboom!
There you go.
Yeah, so pretty cool.
Keeps it fun. Well, listen, this hour went by super fast. There's one question. There's a set of rapid fire questions that I ask every guest.
Let's do it.
Imagine you're on like a private island, completely by yourself. You're going away forever. You're allowed to take one book with you. Just one. What book you taking with you?
10X Rule.
Ooh, Grant Cardone. All right, that was a good book. That's a good motivation book.
Probably would burn slowly too if I needed to set it on fire at any point.
Yeah, I mean, eventually, yeah.
Made out of that good paper.
Grant won't mad.
That's right. Yeah, that'd be my pick. Keep me warm at night. It's a good pillow.
And then what about what movie would you take with you?
That's an interesting one. Movies have never been my big thing. I don't follow movies that much, but I've got a couple favorites. I'd say
you have to watch it over and over again.
The one that I've watched the most in my life is Dazed and Confused.
All right.
Yeah.
So do you like it enough to take it with you?
I'd probably take that with me. That'd be a cool one. I can't think of anything else I'd rather take.
How about a restaurant? What's your favorite restaurant that you would build on this island to always be able to eat at?
Okay. Now, I got a ton of favorites, but I'd say if I could only go with one, there's a place here in San Antonio called Smashing Crab. I would definitely have a Smashing Crab wherever I was at.
Smashing Crab. So when I come to San Antonio the next time, I'm hitting you up. You're going to take me to Smashing Crab.
We're going to Smashing Crab for sure. It is
amazing.
Maybe
we can do a podcast. If you're set up to like do these things like out remotely, and we can
live from Smashing Crab. I'm sure I can make that happen.
All right. Next question is: you can go anywhere in the world you want for a whole week. Where do you go?
Anywhere in the world that I want for a whole week. I'd probably let's see. I think about that a lot, but it's changed over the years. I really don't want to leave the country right now. So I'd probably say I would probably go to Charlotte, North Carolina for a week, or Phoenix, Arizona.
Why Charlotte?
Kind of basic. I love Charlotte. I used to live there. Cool place. When I was there, I was doing the distribution, so I spent a lot of my time at work, and I didn't really get to enjoy it. But I like the environment over there. It's a different kind of place. It's like auto racing is very popular in North Carolina, and I like auto racing. Here in Texas, there's no fan base of NASCAR or anything like that, so it's kind of cool with that. Not really.
Where's the Texas Motor Speedway? Is that in Dallas?
It's in Dallas, and we're on a podcast, and I don't know what the ramifications are, but it's garbage. I'm just saying.
There's no ramifications. It's a podcast. That's the whole purpose of. That's why we have podcasts, because they
Texas
can't.
Motor Speedway gets pissed off. I apologize. Your track sucks.
There's no FCC censorship. You know what I mean? It's not like Howard Stern back in the day when we were kids. Like he had to like beep himself out every time. That's why they came up with Sirius Radio. And then, like, that even gets, like, too controlled by the media. So then what happens is we got a bunch of little independent media outlets called us.
We're our own
do whatever the heck we want. No, we can't. We can do whatever we want, but there's also ramifications to those results. So, for instance, if you had a bunch of people in Texas and you were making fun of them because, like, they don't have NASCAR, then the one NASCAR fan, he may not do business with you, but you're okay with that, so...
Yeah, exactly. And, I used to live in College Station, Texas. I'm a big Ohio State fan, so I made the mistake once of disparaging the local team.
Is that A&M?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'd have nothing against A&M at all, but when I first started, I had a bunch of fans that were there, and they were kind of
Johnny
getting on
Manziel,
me.
baby.
That was the year I was there. And, I made a comment about Texas A&M being not in the Ohio State League or something, and...
Well, it
triggered a whole storm of people that, weren't happy. But
hey, listen,
you learned your lessons along the way. I don't take that back. Ohio State's still better than Texas A&M in football. I'm sorry.
I'm a Browns fan living in Pittsburgh, so, it's a little bit tough for me. So
to still be a Browns fan is very admirable. I grew up a Browns fan in Columbus, Ohio. I'm more of a Buckeye, thank God. But I grew up as a Browns fan, and... I grew up in Canton, Ohio,
so like I'm like between both Columbus and Cleveland, right? So Canton's kind of like in the middle, and you just kind of have to love Ohio State because the Browns always suck so bad. So like Ohio State was always our team.
Life, yeah. And in Columbus, we had the Browns pretty much every week. We never got the Bengals when I was growing up, so I was never a Bengals fan. And it's like, man, the Bengals are good now, but I can't even jump on the bandwagon because I was never a Bengals fan. So
I got one more question because my ADHD almost like forgot to ask the fifth question. You're allowed to have a person come visit you for 24 hours. It could be past, present, future, famous, not famous, whoever you want. Who are you spending 24 hours with?
24 hours. I get to spend a lot of time with a lot of cool people right now. So I would say if I got 24 hours, someone that I think would be really cool to hang out with, I think would be Ed Milet. I would like to meet Ed Milet and hang out with him for 24 straight hours. We got to meet him just for a very brief time in Fort Lauderdale back in May, and he was sitting next to me at this restaurant, and I didn't even recognize him. I looked over, and it's Ed Milet, so... He was super cool, got pictures with him and everything, and then he does his speech the next day, and it was really impactful. And I just think, a guy like that would probably be pretty cool to hang out with. If not, maybe Steve Jobs. But I don't know. I think Ed Milet would be more fun than Steve Jobs. I think Steve Jobs probably would talk and say things I didn't understand. Ed Milet seems to be a pretty down-to-earth guy.
It all depends. If you want to talk about the present, you want to talk about the future.
Well, that's true.
You know what I mean?
Very true.
How about this podcast? We started talking about sports. We kind of ended talking about sports. It's funny because, I don't even watch sports. You barely even watch it anymore. But a couple of Buckeye fans hanging out with you today on the Big Fish Cares podcast. Chuck, I want to thank you so much for coming on today. It was a privilege to have you on as another podcaster. If people want to follow you, subscribe to your podcast, like it, where do they go?
Definitely our YouTube channel, Keepin' It Rio podcast. And I'd love to get more subscribers on that. I took that very casually for the first year, and I only have about 45 or 50 subscribers, and I just was pushing everything on Facebook.
I'm still taking it light, too. I have 100, but that's only because I think I make every single person,
do it, yeah. Click on it and like my page. I liked your page a long time ago.
But we need to set it. Me and you should have a little competition. Let's see who can get to 500 the fastest.
Shit. Okay. You're probably going to beat me because you've already got double what I do, but I'm game.
But you got double the amount of podcasts that I got.
That's true. I need to market it a little better. So you can also follow Keepin' It Rio podcast on Facebook, or me personally, Chuck Allen, on Facebook. But definitely go like the Keepin' It Rio podcast YouTube page, because at some point I'd like to get a paycheck for 13 cents from YouTube for doing something special, for getting that one episode that qualified me to make money.
Yeah, I'm starting to get paid from Facebook Reels now.
See, I haven't even started Reels.
Oh
yet.
yeah,
I
gotta check. I got a statement that I got like $4.40 last month. You know, because
hey,
I have a hard time even remember to upload videos every day, and like they want you to just do it 3, 4, 5 times a day, but I do it like maybe once every other day, and I got $4. So
$4 could easily be like $16 or $20 if you just
if we just got to do
committed to it.
What I'm going to do, here's what I'm going to do, and here's what I think we need to do. We know how to delegate in business. We have people doing that. We got to figure out things that we can delegate for our own personal social media, and whoever's going to help me distribute content, I want to basically, their bonus can be all the money that they ever can get from like YouTube and Facebook and Instagram, because like, it doesn't seem like it's going to be that much anyway. But you never know. Like, at least some type of rev share split, maybe. I don't know.
Hey, I'm all for it. If I can make $1 million, I'd be happy to take half of it. I'd be happy to give another half. We got to incentivize
people to help us hit goals, man.
That's right.
That's all it comes down to. How many sales guys you got right now?
We just downsized substantially. I've got 3, counting myself.
Okay.
We had an office that we consolidated with my parent company, so that kind of skews my stats a little bit. But I'm starting back here with San Antonio, and we're going to kind of build it a little differently than we had. So a couple guys were here, aren't anymore, and a couple guys that are going to come in are going to be absolute superstars. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, that's awesome. This show will probably air, I'm assuming, sometime in the first part of January. It'll be interesting to see what happens to your Ohio State, Michigan prediction. If you guys are watching this podcast, comment below who you think is going to win the Ohio State, Michigan game, or if this airs afterwards, just comment below who actually won and how right or wrong Chuck was. So then that way we can have some fun on the YouTube comments and we can kind of have some banter back and forth. So
Chuck was right regardless. Ohio State's going to be the better team even if they don't win. That's just the way that life goes. True.
So, all right. Appreciate everybody listening today. We'll be back next Friday for another edition of the Big Fish Cares podcast.
Thank you for listening to the Big Fish Cares podcast.